Hi, I'm Matt West, and I'm presenting the attendance issues in high school students at Gillsville School. This is our school. I want to introduce to you that the problem that we're having at this school is that too many students in grades 10 through 12 at Gillsville High School are tardy or absent daily. The hypothesis that we were working on in this research is that students in grades 10 through 12 at Gillsville High School will decrease excused absences, unexcused absences, and tardies by 3% at the end of the 2018-19 school year and in subsequent years. The purpose of this was that Gillsville School wants to utilize the power of education and thus attend and encourage students to attend school regularly. Students who are frequently tardy or absent are at risk to drop out. And since this is the case, we want students to be here. According to Eaton, Breener, and Com 2008, school absenteeism is associated with a myriad number of negative outcomes, including social isolation, mood and conduct disorders, sleep disturbances, substance abuse, and longer-term outcomes such as dropping out of school entirely. So the importance of getting to the root of this problem is imperative, and that's what we're focused on. The context and demographics of the study is this, that the students here at this school are from a low socioeconomic environment, and there are only several affluent families here in the community. And when I say that they're from a low socioeconomic environment, there have been several studies that have been done here at this school about how the students are in such poverty. And if you go on a bus route around this area, you would see how impoverished these students are. This K-12 school serves about 385 students. That's with a 67% free lunch. 9.8% have a reduced lunch, and there are only about 23% of the students here paying full price. To make up the demographics of this school, 13% recognize themselves as American Indian or Alaskan Native. There's only 1% African American, and there are 86% Caucasian. So you can see that the school is comprised of mainly about a lot of white Caucasian students. Even the students that recognize themselves as American Native, there's a lot more Caucasian than there is American Native. So just to give you an idea of what kind of students we're serving at this school. This is a chart that shows you that I put together of students that were frequently absent, and these students were all seniors the school year of 2017-2018, and you can see that their attendance is dismal at best. They don't come to school, they're often not here, and so if they're not getting what we're trying to give them, then they're not going to be, they're most likely not going to be successful out in the real world. And so with this, if a student is missing 60 days of his or her senior year in high school, that's over a third of their school year that they just don't get because of their absenteeism or their tardies. And you can see the list goes on and on as far as the type of as far as the tardies that they're getting. So this one student D, he did not attend here at the 2015-16 and the 16-17 school year, but he fell right into the expectation of what seniors do, and that is miss school. So just to give you a snapshot of what kind of attendance problems that we have here at the school. My connections to literature. Um, there were several studies that I found that were enlightening to the literature that is out there, and we're not the only school that's having problems with attendance. Beckus et al., Beckus and all of the people that he did the research with show that the personal factors as well as family factors make a significant negative impact on the absenteeism. There was one study, and I don't know if it was Balkus, but that the study dealt with, there are family issues and then there are school issues that keep students from coming to school. From Sahan, from this research, it includes 3 originating factors of why students miss school. It's like 1 would be the family, 2 is school, and 3 is the environment. With the family, what they do is if a family does not value education, then what it shows is that the student also will not value the education, and he or she will not come to school, or they will often be tardy. But if a family does value school, then normally that student will have a good participation with at school. Also, there are school factors that go into why students don't come to school. And you can think about this because as educators, we think about, okay, well, if I've got a student that does not come to school, has a bad attitude about school, has a bad attitude toward teachers, has a bad attitude toward other students, then what's our attitude going to be toward that student? If that's the case, we have a student like that, then normally the thing would be, well, we're going to have a bad attitude toward that student. And with that, that student is pushed further away from the education that the school offers because of the attitude that not only he or she has toward school, but the attitude that the school has toward him. So what I have done as a teacher is, since this study, I have looked for those students that have a bad attitude toward school and being here and others, and I have made a point to, with their school environment, to try to make a positive impact on that student, letting that student know that I care about them, that I missed them the day that they were out. That is the kind of stuff that helps them have a positive outlook on school. Their environment also has a big impact. If you think about it, in our rural environment that we're in now, if a student misses the bus and the family does not have access to a car, then we are not within walking distance to a lot of families and a lot of homes that we serve in this community. It's miles that they would have to walk to get to school, and they're not going to do that. Also, the next connection is that this research discusses how students who have parents that skip work for various reasons will skip school for various reasons also. So it's another trickle-down effect of, if parent does not value going into work and being present all the time and being that influence on their children or their student, then the student's going to pick up on that, and then he or she is going to take that on themselves. The method in study design is that we wanted to provide more family involvement. We wanted to send postcards home in the mail. We also wanted to have a comprehensive approach, which we wanted the message to be sent to the faculty here at the school that we want students here. And this isn't so much a problem with elementary, but it is a large problem with 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And so that's the approach that we wanted to take. We wanted to communicate to all the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade teachers that we want you to encourage your students to be here. We want you to provide lessons that are applicable to students' lives, and so that when they come here, they know that they're going to get something that is useful rather than something that they will never use in their life. We also used incentives and sanctions. and to recognize the students and family of those students that were coming. We wanted to give them incentives to come. And so what we did was provide a reward for students that did have good attendance, and giving them a ticket to a sporting event, and inviting their parents and giving their parents the opportunity to come and recognize their student for having good attendance. We also wanted to operate in a supportive context. This means that with the faculty meetings that we have with the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade teachers, that we remind them that, hey, this is what we want you to do. We want you to help those students come to school. Mention when you see them out. Tell them that you miss them. Hey, and encourage them to continue to come and be here. That was created the supportive context that we wanted to. We also wanted to provide a rigorous evaluation and assessment. If a student can have an A and miss 20 days of class, then that student can see that what they're missing while they're out is not relevant to them. So that really encourages them to miss even more. So if we have a rigorous evaluation and assessment plan going on throughout each 9-week period, then that student's grade will probably hurt if he or she is out. Also, within our plan and method of study, we wanted to check attendance twice every 9 weeks, so that we could keep in touch with who's coming and who is not. Our findings are is that there were small gains met by the actions taken to reduce the attendance problem. The big picture formed is that the action steps were not followed as vigilantly as anticipated. We didn't get to make as many home contacts as we wanted. There were not as many parental contacts made when students were absent. So I feel like this was a weakness in my research because with all the things that a teacher has going on, I have going on, I didn't get to make the contacts that I wanted to. I wanted to, once a student missed so many days throughout the 9 weeks, I wanted to call the family, and I got to on several instances, but on the others I didn't. So I feel like that was a weakness in my research. In conclusion, the action steps were not followed as closely as anticipated, and thus our success was not as great as we wanted it to be. Here's another graph to help you see what kind of influence we did have. These are different students, but as they're moving forward, we see that their attendance sometimes is better or worse, but it's a lot better than the seniors that we had the previous year. So these students that we have this year are not quite as absent. And so we see some gains there. And what we have to think about is what kind of message is being sent to these students that were not sent to the other students, and thinking about how the research that we've done is affecting them. My conclusion and implication is this: that we were not as successful as intended and hoped. The action steps were not as followed as strong as hoped. Actions to take are to make more contacts with homes. We also want to continue to make positive relationships with students, and think about what can make this a research like this more successful. Here are my references and my standards, which I don't have listed yet, but I will. Also, I want to share with you the student and staff recognition program that we have innovated. The vision of Galesville School is to work with parents and the community to provide all students the opportunity to learn in a caring, safe, and secure environment. The resources and materials needed to be successful in the 21st century. Competent teachers that deliver high-quality instruction so that each student may develop the skills and abilities that will help him or her become a healthy, well-adjusted, and productive member in his or her community. What we wanted to do with this is to promote a healthy school environment for our staff and our students. Normally, what I've seen is that if a student enjoys coming to school, then so will teachers. And so what we wanted to do was get stories from teachers that we could share with the entire school to promote stories from teachers, positive stories from teachers of students. So things that they have seen the student do in school, so that we could say on their morning announcements, or we could send out to the teachers in an email and have them recognize that student in their class. Is if you see a student doing something positively in the hallway or in an unstructured time, you could write that down, send me an email, and then we could get that on the morning announcements, recognizing that student for his or her positive behavior. Also, teachers should send good students to the principal. Principals normally only see the students that are a behavior problem in the classroom. So what we wanted to do is send the principal some students that were doing great, just so that the principal also sees the positive behavior of the students rather than just the negative behavior. Also, we wanted to implement a rewards and positive behavior. Rewards for positive behavior, being recognized as one of them. Also, giving away a ticket to a sporting event would also be something else. With the attendance rewards that we've already mentioned, and then also giving a student or staff member shout out on social media. Everybody likes a shout out, and social media is a really good place to promote what we're doing at the school and what the individuals that make up the school are doing to make it a positive place. Here's some pictures of some student bulletin boards that we could copy, so that we could recognize the students. Putting these bulletin boards out in the hallway would show the other students in the school that these students are doing something positive and they're recognized for it. So if you do something positive, hopefully you'll be recognized for it as well, just to promote that positive behavior. And then here are my references. MIAL Standards Master, which will be Standards 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, dealing with the student and staff recognition program.